everyone, it's Helen Godden here, and here we are with our second block for our Flower Power Quilt-a-long. So this one is loosely based on a poppy, and so the first job of course is to trace it with your Sharpie and then sandwich it up with your batting and go around all that ditching so that you are stitching in the black with your black thread. Now I've just about got that finished, so I'll just get on with that now. And as you can see, it doesn't matter if you go in the same area once or twice, just keep following around that path. So now you might even want to get your paper pattern again and do a little bit of planning in here of what designs you might like to do, etc. Also take note that this design has got that square blocky background. This is where if you're going to do piecing with this, you would piece that first and then applique that on top. Can't wait to see your variations on that. But let's have a look at the quilting. So with your zigzag, try and get it to actually go across and touch that black edge. It almost looks like the little hairy bits on the poppy stems, doesn't it? So now I'm launching into a style I call abstract spirals. Now all spirals are based on the number 6, and you can perhaps loosely see that I started with a 6 there, but instead of being a curved stitch line that I'm taking, or stitch path, there are a whole series of straight lines. And to get those little sharp angles, you actually pause your hand just that teeny bit so that you get that distinct change of direction. As opposed to stippling where we keep our hands moving and moving so we get that curvy line, we are getting those straight lines by pausing our hands. So when we're down in that little skinny bit, you can't put a spiral in there. So I'm just faking it with something that looks appropriate, keeping that distance about the same of the lines apart. And then I've come up here and I'm just echoing and repeating those sections and doing what I call let there be half, where we have half a spiral. There we go. And then just echoing in that last bit with something that looks like it was part of the plan all along. Now this next bit is a very wide stipple that has quite a horizontal direction through the middle of that stipple, because any second now you're going to see me, there I go, doubling it up and closing off those shapes. So here I am just doing some parallel. I actually find if I go fairly quickly with this, you actually get fairly accurate straight lines. But the secret there is, again, to go into the black each time so that your pattern looks continuous. Now on this leaf, I'm just doing a very elongated S curve. Once I've got that the first time around, I just keep echoing that. So you could draw that S curve the first time with your panda pencil, and then I'm just basically going approximately parallel. You can see there how I continued that background pattern in behind here, making sure it's touching on the black, and that way it looks like the flowers are on top of this design. So I've just gone with vertical there and horizontal here. I think this area I'm just going to go for a good old stipple. And when I look at that, I think my stitches are looking a little bit sort of straight rather than curvy. So I'm going to speed up the machine. Doesn't mean I move my hands any differently. And now I'll get a smoother looking stipple. So just as a note to everyone, when you're typically doing a class with me, you do receive a design with all the quilting drawn on it, and you receive a design with the colour suggestions on it. Now obviously in this one there's no painting, so there's no colour suggestions as such, but yeah, in a full class with me, you usually get all that quilting in a diagram as well. So that's just something for you to know for the next time you might consider doing a class with me. So here I am doing straight lines, but you can see they're all going into the point of that petal. So sort of slightly curving in and creating that slight arch. So in the middle, it's fairly straight, and then that arc starts to go the other way. So they're all sort of coming to a point there, which also builds up the black thread and gives it a bit more impact. I quite like that because it gives it a slightly ruffly edge, but I am thinking I wish that wasn't the stippling there. That would have looked better perhaps if those two were swapped. So you might like to do that, put your stippling down here and the vertical stripes there, just so you've got a high contrast there between those two kind of shapes. But I do like that because you know how poppies have got that ruffly edge. I'm going to do one now, one of my favourites, that's called Build a Bridge. So this build a bridge, as you can see, starts with an arch that has to be built onto something. You can't just start in the middle of an open space. And you can see it's kind of like a rainbow, and then I keep touching back onto a previous line of stitching or my black outlines. There I go, I started a new one. Now it gets a bit tricky when you're near the edge, so you have to sort of fake it. And now I usually count about 5, so I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 passes. But if you have to do a 6th one to come back down to an open area, that's okay. But the trick with this one is to start with that little arch and keep it a fairly tight arch. Don't make it a wide bridge kind of shape. Make it a tight little, I think of it as an igloo. But it's those stitches that keep touching back onto itself that makes this design really work. I love it. So thanks very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed today's block. Don't forget you can catch up anytime, and I'll see you here again in 2 days' time for our next block that we're going to share together. See you soon for our Flower Power Quilt-a-long. Education and inspiration from HelenGodden.com.